Hello there and welcome to the new channel.
Here to help you see
The new you.
My name is Carmine Ortega.
Dennis Calamba.
This is Nato Agbayani.
My name is Juan Lu.
I'm Chino.
I'm Trisha.
This is Apple Manansala.
This is Attorney Carlo Ibanez.
This is Attorney Sheila Santiago.
This is Angie.
This is Orgami.
My name is Daddy Salama.
This is Jesse Francis Rebostillo.
I'm Dania Cunha.
Mon Mendoza.
I am Mapet Erhino.
I'm Leo Bryan. Mike.
Nice one, dear.
Sir Al Ian Barcelona.
Marvin Salazar. This is Sunny Haldon.
Heidi Lumainos.
This is Ivan Jude. Patrick Geronimo.
Alan Perez.
My name is Erwin Ursua.
Mine is Bob.
My name is Lloyd Luna and this is
Future.
The Talk.
Family Business.
The Puppet Stories.
After Shift.
PNC Town Hall.
YOLO.
Marketplace.
The Home Buyer.
HR Hotline.
Danny Art Show.
Healthline.
Foreign Affairs.
COVID
Stories.
Awesome Day Show.
Thank you.
Money and More.
Cybernext.
Women at Work.
Win Within.
Port Project.
The Big Picture.
Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. Sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you. Sometimes life makes you blind and you choose something bad. You just wanna cry and hide and save your face from the crowd. But sometimes life makes you see the beauty in you and me. When you look up above, there is God and there is love. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new. We're here to help you see the newness of life. We're here to help you feel your hope is so real. You got the power to see. We'll help you see the new you. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the new channel. We're here to help you see the new you. My name is Michelle Mras, and welcome to episode 12 of Mental Shift. Good evening to the United States and to the Philippines. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. My name is Michelle Mras, and welcome to Mental Shift. My guest tonight became known as the Side Hustle Millionaire, and after his book, well, it was named after his book, the same title, that was the #1 bestseller on Amazon. But the book title isn't just fiction, it's based on his actual story. I read the book, it was amazing. Tony once led a successful corporate career for over 25 years, but that's less interesting than the side business that he created, which generated millions in profit. As an active entrepreneur himself, he still owns a few businesses, but his real passion is teaching entrepreneurs how to start, scale, and sell their businesses within his podcast and his consulting brand, 365 Driven. Please welcome, it is my great honor, my friend, Tony Whatley. Where are you? There you are. There you are.
Michelle, good to see you. We're going to bring so much energy to this. I like that intro. The music you said was a little bit fun, but I saw a lot of happy faces.
Yes.
That's what we're going to bring tonight.
Yes. Well, Tony, I wanted you on the show because one, you're pretty dang awesome. But two, I read your book and it blew my mind. And I said, I actually wrote you, I needed this book 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so I promoted it a lot because it's like, for anyone out there, one, if you know anyone who wants to start a business and they're not watching, I want you to take right now, hit the button and share it live. Okay? Because what Tony's going to be sharing with you today is a transformation that is astounding, but his mental shift of what we speak about here on Mental Shift is astounding, and where he was and where he's grown to and what he's going to be doing will blow your mind. So, Tony, your book, Side Hustle Millionaire. First of all, what the heck is a side hustle?
It's a trendy name here in the United States. I know we got a lot of Filipino audience, and a side hustle is basically a side business. It's a business that you start while you have a full-time job. So that's really what we trend to here. We call it a side hustle nowadays.
Okay. Side hustle. So those of you who say, I've got my 9-to-5 job, but I'm doing this on the side, or I'm going to do this on the side, that's the side hustle. Mm-hmm. Tony wrote a book because his side hustle did very well. Can you explain a little bit about, well, let's go back. Let's go way back. You were born, you became a young boy, you saw some things, and then you saw something else. Can you tell us more of your background?
Yeah, I was born in Japan, half Japanese. My mother's Japanese. My dad is American, and we didn't have a lot of money. We grew up lower middle class, and I just had to figure out how to do things because my birthday is in November and Christmas is in December. So really back-to-back months was the only time I was going to get gifts or toys for the entire year. So I had to go be creative and go do things like mow yards or walk dogs or wash cars or rake leaves. I just did whatever I could to make money. That's how I was able to buy video games or skateboards or bicycles. So I guess I was always an entrepreneur, just being creative, just to be able to buy the things that I truly wanted. And that led to me really just doing things later on in life as a professional. But full context, I'm also a risk taker. I enjoyed being a stunt kid. I was always the kid that would put the extra bricks under the wood ramp and jump over my friends with my bicycle and do a lot of crazy things. I probably should have died 100 times, to be honest. And that's kind of my risk tolerance is really high compared to most people. So I think that helps a lot with entrepreneurship.
And Tony, that's the other thing that really bonds us is I was the kid on the little bit. Well, actually, I remember having training wheels on my bike, and we put extra bricks underneath the so I could jump the drainage ditches in the Philippines, and those things are huge. But I was always the daredevil. I would be the one that would check to see if the wind velocity would work if you ran far enough from a roof and jumped. If you would fly, that was me.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me, Michelle.
That's when I met you. I'm like, ooh, one of my people. Yeah. Well, and that's really a lot about entrepreneurship and going out there is being able to take risks. And the people that you see who are struggling are the ones who do, I don't know. Sometimes you just have to do, you know what? I see this. I'm going to start walking towards it, running towards it, and I'm going to get it. And that's why I really enjoyed your book. Because you explained, keep going, but there's things you must get in place while you're running. you made such a great step-by-step book or checklist after every chapter of what to do and like the things that you missed or the things you realized needed to be done. And I loved how you wrote that book because it was so easy to read and so applicable. And even with me, who's been in business for a while, I looked at things and went, oh, geez, maybe I should go back and do that. And so I really, really appreciate that you took the time to write that book, because what I see with a lot of like first-time authors, they'll go out and they'll talk about me, I, me. Why isn't anybody selling this book? Why isn't anybody? Hello, Michael. Hello, Brian. Yes. Yeah. Brian says hi. But that's the whole thing, is that why isn't anybody buying this book? It's about me and what I went through. And you actually put in what you went through, but you put in knowledge that is usable for your users, for the readers of these books. And that's a piece I think a lot of people miss in their books, is they don't realize that book in itself is a learning guide.
Yes.
That you can be teaching from. You've got it.
There was a lot of strategy. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that this was the book that you wish you would have had eight years ago. You said 8. Okay. The book's been out 3. And I always say that the book was in my head for 5 years before I wrote it. So that's kind of weird math we're adding up here, right? It just kind of lines up, right? But I had this book in my mind because I started my first business in 2001. It did really well, and it grew. And by month 6, we were making about $10,000 profit per month. And then and only then we were like, wow, this is like a real business. It's not a hobby anymore. And we started treating it like a real business, and we started reinvesting back in the company and not really paying ourselves too much. And it just grew. We did things really professional. And that's one of the things I always tell people, that if you're going to go start a business, whether that's a full-time business or a side business or a side hustle, you got to take it serious, okay? Because the market, which is the consumers, the people that are all out there, they don't care if this is day 1 or day 1,000. And if you treat things like a hobby, you're going to get hobby results. I see a lot of people out there treating things like a hobby, whether that's being a speaker like you and I, or building a podcast, or doing a show, or writing a book, or creating a business, or going on a fitness journey. They treat things like hobbies. They get hobby results, and then they look deflated. They're like, wow, I just expected to be, the number 1 person after 2 months. And it's just not reality, is it? So that book was in my head. But the thing is that I was really kind of scared to put myself out there. I didn't like being on cameras. I didn't like recorded voices. I didn't like being on stage. I had stage fright. And I was in a near-death accident in 2015 that we can get into. But after we'll definitely get into that. But the thing is after that, I started to value time a lot more. And I realized that the knowledge that I have could impact a far more greater group than just my friends. I'd already helped several of my friends and former staff members on those websites build 7 and 8 and 9-figure businesses over the last 20 years. And they were always telling me, you should be doing this full time. You're so good at it. You should be look, you're teaching all this. Look at these results. And I lied to myself, Michelle. I said that, I got a really comfortable life. I've made a lot of money. I've got a full-time job. I've got a family. I was making all the excuses possible to not put myself out there. Okay. And I had that book in my head. It was rattling around in there. And honestly, I started admitting this recently in the last couple of months, is that I wrote that book almost as a cowardly play to get my message out there to impact thousands of people. But you think about that, you can actually be a famous author without anybody recognizing you. And you don't even have to be on stage or on podcasts or recordings or any of that stuff. But my editor was the one that he named the book Side Hustle Millionaire. I wrote it under a manuscript called The Hustle because I used to play pool. But he's like, hey, you're the side hustle millionaire. You need to become this character. This is you. And it didn't sit well with me because, I'm very humble and I like to help people. And I thought it was kind of an arrogant title. It's like, it's really bold. Let's be honest. Side hustle millionaire. If you're looking at a bunch of books on the shelf about starting side businesses, mine's going to punch you in the face. And I was like, that's just not me. That's just not me. He's like, it is you. He goes, which of those words is a lie? And I thought about it. It's like, well, it's a side hustle. Yeah, I started a bunch of side businesses. And did you make millions of dollars? Yeah, I made millions of dollars. So I guess you're a side hustle millionaire. And so I had to sleep on that, Michelle. I had to sleep on that. And I got up and I said, you know what? I need to become this. This is who I need to be. And that involved me. You know, we had the love of Toastmasters. We both joined and we both put in a lot of reps and did videos and made ourselves feel really uncomfortable doing all that stuff. That's what I had to go through. And, you know, that it's been a crazy journey the last 4 years, really, to be honest.
Well, and that's the other thing about you and I is we've paralleled each other's lives for the past several years. I had my brain injury in 2014 because of my car accident, and you were in an accident too. Can you give us a little bit about that epiphany you had after all that?
Yeah. So in 2015, it was a really strange year. There was an oil industry downturn. My professional career was project management engineering, working for major oil companies. And we had a downturn and my entire project team was laid off. Really 2,000 people at my company were laid off that year. And at the end of that year, I was racing cars because that's what I love to do. I'm a car guy. And I was trying to set a new national record in a 1,000 horsepower Dodge Viper. And about the top of third gear on the quarter-mile track, something in the rear suspension broke, which made the rear wheel start to steer the car instead of the steering wheel. And I had no control over that. And I grazed the right wall, was in the right lane. And as I started to come off that wall, that wheel kicked back out again. And the car went really hard left. And now I'm looking at a concrete wall and 130 miles per hour in a two-door sports car. It's really bad odds. Like I knew that I had a really low odds of survival. And I could hear the noise of the engine and everything going on. And I just thought to myself in that moment, well, here I go, because I truly thought I was going to die in that moment. And the weirdest thing overcame me is that I felt a really huge sense of peacefulness. You would think it would be like, and like scared, but I was steering straight. The car was going hard left. I had no control over it. And I just felt a release of peacefulness. And I just knew that whatever the outcome was, things were going to be okay. And of course, shocker, spoiler alert, I'm still here today, but it made me go into some really deep thoughts. And the weird thing about that is even after the paramedics at the track gave me my inspections and was asking me questions to see if I had brain injuries or anything like that, I was very clear and I was very calm. And even so that the paramedic, she said, you know, you're remarkably calm for someone's been in a major accident. I mean, the car was blown to pieces and literally wheels off the car, and every panel of this car was caved in, and the front of the car was caved in up to the windshield, up to where I was sitting, and it was destroyed. And I was very calm. I didn't have the adrenaline shakes. I wasn't sweating. I didn't have the panting breaths, all the things that you would see as a traumatic experience. And I was calm. And what was going through my mind at that time was, why am I here? And then the next thing that started going through my mind is, what if I would have died? Mm-hmm. And then the next thing that went through my mind was, how would I have been remembered? And when you get to that question, that is so powerful. When you go, how would I have been remembered? If I would have died, how would I have been remembered? And I had an answer to that. It would have been, Tony was a nice guy, had a bunch of cool cars, made a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And only my closest friends would have known that I helped them because I've always been that person. But what that told me as someone that's a high achiever that's always trying to push myself is that I wasn't doing enough. I had that book in my mind, remember I was telling you, and I was like, I have this knowledge and this experience and this love and passion for what I do, and I'm not putting it out there because I'm so afraid of critics or even potential critics that I just didn't do that for my entire life. I'm a man in my 40s, highly successful, that I still had those kind of insecurities about putting myself out there. But for that next week, I was just thinking, you know, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I don't want to go back to my normal job, even though it's a high paying job, but I don't want to do that anymore. It doesn't serve me, and it's not making the impact that I'm thinking about. And, you know, how am I going to be remembered when I die? So it's the legacy thing I started to focus on, Michelle. And here I am. That was 2015. 2017 is when I actually kicked off this brand. So there was a period of 2 years in between that I still didn't know exactly what I was doing. I was working towards something, but I wasn't sure completely until 2017.
I mean, that whole accident sounds absolutely terrifying. And I'm so glad, spoiler alert, you are still here. And I had the same feeling. It was the car's coming at me. There's nothing I can do. And I just remember doing that. I remember thinking,
this is it.
Yeah.
Well, here I go. Right.
I saw us hitting slow motion and everything. And then the next thing I knew, I was awake and I went, what happened? And I got out of the car, not realizing the whole front of the car was gone. I thought maybe I imagined it. And then I got out of the car and then there's all the black on the underneath me. I had crushed everything in. The engine should have hit me and it didn't. And so I had the same thing. It's that, and that's really a lot of the passion. And that's why I bonded so quickly with you, was, wow, if we can get more people to realize that they need to seek their dreams before it's too late or they're on their deathbed, like when we were both in our cars doing goodbye.
Yeah.
That we were fortunate enough to make it out the other side. But there's so many people out there that I've met and you've met, and especially on Clubhouse, we're hearing it all the time. I really wish, but I wanted this, but I'm like, stop all the buts. Work towards it. Find a way to find your path. And I love the logo behind you as it's changing colors, because that you love cars. You're in a car accident when you had your epiphany, and your logo says 365 driven. Mm-hmm. Can you explain the 365 driven? Because that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's a throwback definitely to the automotive companies that I've started. The gear is always symbolic to me of something that does work. It's I'm a mechanical engineer, right? So even I think the class ring I had back then had a gear on the side of it. But anything you think about a gear, it's doing work. It's a component within a big piece of machinery, and there's an input and an output. It's doing something. So I think about, I need to become that driver gear, that gear that turns everybody else. And the 365 driven, it was an available domain name. It's easy to remember. It's easy to spell. And it's a mantra. And what I think about is when I do branding, because I'm a big marketing guy and I like to be really creative, and I designed the logo and all that myself. But I wanted to be able to walk up to a perfect stranger on the street and go, hey, are you 365 driven? And they're going to know 365. Okay, that's calendar. And am I driven? Yeah, I'm 365 driven. So great. If they don't even know my brand, but they can say that they're 365 driven, they may be part of this movement, this entrepreneurial group that I'm growing, and want to be a part of that and actually wear it on their clothes, So it's like, I think about these kind of things, because I'm always thinking about building something much bigger than me. The last companies I built, 300,000 people, and then I duplicated that into another one that grew to 280,000 people. And so I'm not the egomaniac that likes to sit at the top of the hill and go, I'm super awesome, and y'all are all just here because of me. And I just want you as my followers. Everybody pay attention to me. That's not who I am. Mm-hmm. I like to be embedded deep within the community, be accessible, be just like another member, and let them, they all understand who the owner is. They all know that. You don't need to serve your ego and stand on a pedestal above people, but you basically just want to be, showing love, showing up every day. There's so many communities out there, Michelle, that we see on Facebook and things like that people just think is their follower base. Yeah. And they have the audacity to never show up or act like they're unapproachable or inaccessible. And it's like, what is that? That's not real leadership. That's celebrity. That's not real leadership. So I'm a real leader, and I'm always going to be approachable and accessible to my groups, no matter how big they get.
Yeah. Same thing. It's like, no, you are not better than everybody else. You're human, and you're driven. Mm-hmm. And you want to help other people find their way. I mean, you are very good at connecting people to people they need to meet. I know you've connected me to several people that have just blown my mind, and they've like, oh my gosh, Michelle, you've blown like perfect connections across the globe. And that's the power of Tony Whatley. So if you are watching this and you're like, who is Michelle talking to? Well, Tony, you can find him at 365 Driven. His website should be popping up here very soon. You can find him on Facebook. You can look him up on Amazon for his book, The Side Hustle Millionaire. If you're on Clubhouse, find him at the 365 Driven on Clubhouse. I mean, really, Google his name. You can't miss him. And yeah, there it is. Facebook 365 Driven. And you can join the community, which is really awesome. Okay. But find Tony, because what I've noticed with him is that no matter what platform you find him on, he is giving content. He has these videos that are just super and just inspirational and full of content. And you think he's talking here? You ain't seen nothing yet. This is mellow Tony, just like mellow Michelle. We turn on in our elements. This is mellow Tony. Get him on one of his Facebook Lives or one of his talks on Clubhouse, and you will see some serious fire. You're like, okay, now I know why he's a side hustle millionaire. Yes, he's a nice guy, but he knows what he knows, and he knows what he doesn't know. He pulls people in, and he keeps moving, and he brings the entire tribe with him. Mm-hmm. If you're ready to run, he's running. So that's why I wanted Tony on the show, because I really wanted you all to meet him. And when we come back from our commercial, we're going to peek more into Tony's life, because I want to tease him with a picture he sent. And I just love it to death, because I want a picture just like it too. So stay tuned. We're going to commercial and we'll be right back. Please don't go away. Share this video. Welcome back. My name is Michelle Mras, and you are watching Mental Shift on TNC. The following TNC shows will be listed in Philippine time, but all of our TNC shows are live streamed to help you see the new you. Stay tuned for all the listings. Notable personalities and their stories on The Big Picture, Mondays through Fridays, 7 p.m. Human Resources and Management on HR Hotline, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at noon. The Family Business is Everyone's Business, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Success Stories on The Fourth Project, Saturday, 6 p.m. Dubai, 10 p.m. Philippines. Beauty Beyond What Your Eyes Can See, Usapang Beauty, Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. Time to hear positive news on COVID stories, Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Life Turnaround Stories at U-Turn, Mondays and Thursdays, 10:30 a.m. The Home Buyer Guides You to Property, Mondays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Laugh and Learn with the Poppet Stories, Mondays at 5:30 p.m. TNC Marketplace, Thursdays and Fridays at 10 p.m. Your Rights, Yo Law, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Money and More, Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Philippines, 5:30 a.m. USA. The stage is yours. TNC The Talk, Mondays at noon. Chill and Booze, After Shift, Wednesdays and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Strategize and win in life through Win Within, Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Dream, Achieve, Nurture, and Inspire, Donnie Art Show, Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Learn Together Across Borders Foreign Affairs, Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. Health is Wealth on Healthline, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Celebrate Women at Work at 9 a.m. Saturdays. Have an awesome day, Mondays at 2:30 p.m. Cybersecurity is Key on CyberNext, Wednesdays at noon. Emerging in Practical Technologies, TechU, Fridays at 2:30 p.m. Learn from the Market Leader, Tuesdays and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. Well Home brings a well life, Tuesdays and Saturdays at 2:30 p.m. Coping and Coupling, Couple Goals, Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Listen to This Generation on The Millennial Voice, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. The Journey continues with Moving On Business, Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. Catch our original shows One Day, TNC Arena, TNC PressCon, and TNC Town Hall, Saturdays at 7 p.m., co-hosted by TNC founders Lloyd and Apple. Town Hall is where we talk to you, our valued audience. Last but not least, it's never too late for Mental Shift, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. USA, Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Philippines. Thank you so much for joining me on Mental Shift. For more upcoming shows, follow the hashtag TNCNow on Facebook and YouTube. Allow your passion to inspire you, and together, let us hashtag see the new you. Welcome back. Yes, this is Michelle Mras. You are watching Mental Shift, and tonight my guest is Tony Whatley. He is known as the Side Hustle Millionaire, but he is so much more. Please find him and look him up, 365driven.com, because you will not regret this. Worldwide, people, go find him, because we are talking to Tony, and I want to tease him really quick because we got a really cool picture of him, and I want to know more about it, but it's just an awesome picture. And it actually, what I see as this picture, it kind of shows him, because he is one, can I swear on this? Badass guy. And he's a good guy, but don't mess with him. And that's what I like, that power behind the force. You've got a smile, you mean well, you do well, but let's go. And that's what this picture shows to me. And producer, can you please show that really cool picture? Isn't that the coolest picture? You can share a bit behind that, because in my mind, you're almost singing Elvis Presley to me. But it cracks me up because that look on your face and holding that old time mic, it's just classic. I love it. You need to make another book with that as an image.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, that was a photo that we had some fun in Univision, the television here. It's a Latino station here in Houston area. And they had an entire floor of their building with all these different backdrops. And we got to run around and just take a bunch of crazy photos. And there was a microphone laying on the ground. I was like, I'm going to do one for a podcast. So actually, I use this photo for my solo episodes on my podcast. and everybody kind of cracks up. And, you know, some of the people got offended because it's kind of got a religious connotation. But you know what? It's like, they don't know who I am then. So yeah, that's their problem.
Yes, because that's just fun. I love it. The white suit and all. It was perfect. And I wanted to share that because that shows a lot about Tony. He's a serious guy, but he's got such a fun side about him. And if you listen to it, he likes cars, like I'm not talking like normal cars that you would see. I wish we had pictures of those. He has some awesome souped up cars, and I kind of like cars. So that's my other thing that I like about Tony is we have a lot of things in common with the engineering background, the car accident, the epiphany, the half Asian, half not. I mean, just so much that I met him, fell in love with him, and said, the world has to meet him. My side of the world has got to meet him. And I wanted to point out that Dwight Heck says, fantastic interview. Tony is the real deal. So grateful to have him as a friend and mentor. Yeah, I know. I'm so excited that he came into my world too. And then, oh yeah, there's people saying hi.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank you. Love you, brother.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I kind of want rock music playing right now, but I don't have that.
Welcome to the Jungle was usually my stage entrance song. So, Guns N' Roses. Yeah. Takes me back to high school.
Oh, geez. High school would be Jump for me, but.
Oh, yeah. Van Halen. Okay.
But I always sing, I'm every woman. That's what I like.
That song doesn't work for me, though. I mean,
you'd have to sing, I'm every not woman.
So I'm gonna explain a little bit on the podcast. Okay, that photo was so fun, and the microphone, and I used to be really deathly afraid of getting on stages and speaking on microphones, and I had to overcome that. And I talked about investing in myself to become the right person to carry that message. And that one of the things I want to really help you as a viewer or listener is that we all have those same insecurities. Actually, we both have near-death experiences on this panel tonight. And, they say that public speaking is actually ranked higher than death. Some people would think that death is actually less scary than public speaking. And then you got the other people who think they're good at public speaking, but they're lying to themselves because they've never had any actually official training in public speaking. So they think that it consists of just having the occasional courage to speak in front of people. And that's what I used to think. because I was the boss at work and I've owned very successful companies and I've had large teams and I could do the project kickoff meetings and the pep rally type stand-up things. But when I started to get public speaking lessons and working with a public speaking coach, I started to realize like I was just lying to myself. Like having the courage to speak on a camera or on an occasional stage is not public speaking. And I didn't realize that for 20 something years. And I wish I would have joined Toastmasters at age 18. And I wish I would have hired a speaking coach around that same time to really fine tune my skills. But the thing is that those of you out there that are afraid of even trying to do that, you got to understand that you're not worried about failure. Okay. Speaking is not a talent. It's a skill. If you would have interviewed me 2017, you would have got monotony speaking like this, just one volume, one pitch. And I would have been looking around like this because couldn't look at the camera. It bothered me. And I would have just been really nervous. I probably would have been sweating and doing all these kind of things. But that's who I was because I didn't have that confidence. I was insecure about doing that. And I didn't have the training and I didn't have the repetitions to get better at that. So the thing is that if you're struggling with putting yourself out there and finding your own voice, go join a Toastmasters, go hire a speaking coach, go do videos every single day, and you'll get enough reps. You'll start to get the confidence and the skills because just like learning a new language, public speaking is a skill that you can learn and anybody can learn it. And if you're worried about potential critics and haters and naysayers, guess what? Bad news. You're going to get those. You will have those. Everybody has them. It's part of the game. And if you don't have any haters or naysayers or critics, don't pat yourself on the back and think that you're such a swell, good person and everybody loves you. What it really means is that you're obscure and that nobody's paying attention to you. And honestly, you're not doing anything worth noticing because as soon as you do start doing things that are worth noticing, you will have haters, you will have critics, and you will have naysayers. So in our group, we say celebrate the hate because when you finally get your trolls and your haters, it means you're finally doing something that's worth noticing. And go ahead and screenshot those trolls and haters and bring them back to the group that supports you and celebrate that. Hey, I got my first hater. Yeah. Because you've earned it. You've earned that hater and you shouldn't hide from those people.
Yeah, that was really eye-opening because I'm like, who would hate me? I'm such a nice lady. And I'm like, wait a minute. They took time to attack me. I'm doing something right.
Yeah. You'll never be hated on by somebody doing more than you.
No, and it's like what you said about, if you think that you are a great speaker and you've never spoken in front of more than 10 people, you really do need a group like Toastmasters to get that practice, to find out the nuances, get feedback from people who are looking at you to help you grow. The other thing that I really wished I had done earlier, because I'm a singer. So I'm very good at modulating my voice. If you listen to Tony, he's got a very nice modulated voice. He can control it. And that's what we learn from repetitive speaking, okay? Speaking a lot and using your hands and things like that. But something I've been kind of eyeing on is a vocal coach, because I teach people to speak, fixing their messaging and condensing it so they can expand and contract it and how to present and use their body on stage. But one of the things I have difficulty helping is when someone talks like this all the time, and you don't know how to fix their voice.
Chest talkers, the throat talkers.
Throat talkers, or, the ones who they swallow their voice. And so when I'm working with them to get that out, it's like, you know what? You need to learn control of your voice. You need a vocal coach too. So I will send them to someone else to help them learn which pitch, because a lot of people don't realize it, but my normal voice is much higher than this.
So is mine. You didn't know that, but it is.
But I know when I get excited, my voice gets really high and it gets really fast. But in order to be heard and understood, you've got to bring your voice ever so slightly down if you're a woman, and for a man, ever so slightly up if it's not too deep, But there's
very white style.
No, that you'll never find. Yeah.
But if you speak from your diaphragm and you inhale at a constant rate, your voice will be a lot deeper and have a lot more resonance, and you can control it a lot better. So if you hear somebody speaking really high like this, it's because they're speaking in their throat, and they're almost like holding their breath is what it's best way to describe it. They're speaking by holding their breath. So singers and people that know how to speak, they And that's also, you can see when somebody's a novice at public speaking, they'll get on stage and they'll get winded.
They get tired.
They'll be, whoa, because they've been holding their breath speaking and their voice sounds like this. And they're just really high pitched voice. And it's like, come on, guys. Like,
or they're like, oh, my voice hurts.
Oh, yeah,
I'm like, really? That's because you're not using your diaphragm. Start singing in the shower more often. Sing in your car. Get some practice into those lungs. And that's part of the journey of doing whatever you want to do. Tony and I are both really big into learn how to speak. Get on stages. Start practicing in Toastmasters. Get your messaging, what you're going to do, get it down. Because it doesn't matter what you're doing in this world, you're going to have to speak.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to do it well, right, Tony?
Whether you speak to one person or 1,000 people, you're still using public speaking skills. Because if you want to say something, you want them to pay attention. And you're not going to do that by being monotone, mono cadence, mono volume. You got to learn how to fluctuate all those different things. We call that vocal variety. And when you start to find your new range, because most people speak in a really narrow bandwidth, and then as you start to get uncomfortable, you start to stretch the high and the lows and the speeds, and you can vary those things because that's what makes you influential. Like, think about this: if you're watching television or movies, imagine how boring those would be if the characters on the screen were doing dialogue in total monotone. Like, hey, you want to try that, Michelle? That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, we can talk like this because we're so exciting.
Hey, Michelle, thank you for having me on the show. This is incredible. TNC is a great new channel.
Yeah, I really like it being here.
I love this thing. Thank you. This is going to be the best episode ever. I mean, that's how most people speak.
I know. And I love to tell people, I love to train people that we are modulated as humans on music. The first music we hear is our mother's heartbeat. Doom, 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 doom. Then their blood flow. Our bodies, our brains are geared to listen to rhythm. And when you speak without rhythm and you are in monotone, the human brain stops listening. That's why it's important for you to practice. Whatever you do, you will be speaking to one or many. You must be able to speak well. And I told Tony earlier on, before we got on the air, that Clubhouse has been making my ears hurt because there's so many people who don't know how to modulate their voice or how close to be on the mic or things like that. And when you're in the world of virtual, where people are only using their ears to hear you, your voice will set you apart from other people. You're either elevated up or immediately erased from their memory. So if you're out there and you're uncomfortable with speaking, go find a Toastmaster meeting. Get online, go to University of YouTube if you have to, and go practice it. But find something that you will learn how to speak so that you represent your brand, who you are, and what you want to be better.
It's going to help you in all walks of life, whether that's your professional career or maybe you're just a single person. Maybe you're a single man or a woman and you learn how to communicate properly with emotion. You're going to attract more people into your life, whether that's friends or intimate people in your relationships, because the confidence you gain from actually learning how to speak with influence, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to influence you to feel something or take some sort of action. These are skills that you learn, and you'll never learn that without proper training. So these are the kind of things I always think about. I wish I would have learned at 18. I mean, I did really well without knowing it, but I just think about how much further or how faster I could have advanced if I had that same level of confidence and communication skills. And, before we kicked off this show, you talked about the new app Clubhouse, which is literally people speaking. It's literally a room of conference room. And if you Apple users are using it, but it's an awesome app and it's blowing up over here in the United States. And it's literally just a picture of your face. And that's all you can flex on a filter is your face, a little icon. And then everything else is your voice. And if you're getting to the microphone, what we find is a lot of people that have very big audiences on Instagram and Facebook, they could have millions of followers, and then they speak on the microphone and they sound pathetic. And they are not getting the traction that they thought they were going to get just because they had notoriety in other platforms. If you want to be on Clubhouse and gain a lot of traction, like, for example, I've got over 20,000 followers and just being in there 5 weeks. 5 weeks. And it's not because I'm always talking. It's because when I do talk, I make it matter. And I use my vocal variety and I actually do an entertainment type speech. I don't go in there and just be all monotone. And, let me give you some advice in this regard. It's here's what I would do. I don't do that.
Me.
You have to be an entertainer. Anytime you're on a camera, anytime you're on a microphone, anytime you're on a stage, you still have to have an element of entertaining going on. Otherwise, nobody's going to pay attention.
I like it. I like what you're talking about. Well, and with me growing up in the Philippines, I learned how to modulate my voice because we were always singing. My uncles and my aunts, we would all sit in the room and we'd sing. And they'd say, Michelle, you sing Michael Jackson. Michelle, you sing Karen Carpenter. So I was always having to sing different people's voices. And then as I was learning more English, I bit my tongue off, had to learn more English. I got very articulate about my English. But then I started watching a lot more movies and watching how people talked when they were talking in the movies, and I would imitate them. So like you are the voice on your audiobook. I am the voice of my audiobook. Why? Because we've learned to control our voices, and we can change them and bring them out or bring them in. And that's a talent that you can grow to. So when you hear somebody like me and Tony do, man, I really like their voice. We created that voice by learning how to control our vocal tones.
Definitely. Love the subject. Great talk on that.
I'm excited about that. Well, and I wanted to make sure also people knew that your voice is on your book. They can get the audio version of it, and it's him.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a missed opportunity if you're an author and you write a book. And I think it's a missed opportunity if you don't narrate your own book, even if you're not a pro yet, because that's a missed opportunity for your readers to build a bond with you and understand who you are and what your voice is. And you can be coached to be a better narrator. You just got to do the reps, right? So you always want to do it in your own voice so people get to hear who you are and they get to relate who you are. And Michelle, you talked about how the book was really easy to read. Actually, the way I wrote this book is conversational. I thought about if I was going to sit at a bar table with a friend and talk to them about business.
That's what I said. That's what I said. It felt like I was sitting at a bar.
That's how I wrote it in my mind. And sometimes here's a funny part in it. Sometimes I would actually have a beer and I would sit there on my desk and I would sip it while I was writing that book just to put me in that mode. So that's the kind of thing I think about because I wanted to have like Tony's talking to me is what I wanted it to be.
I'm psychic. I just knew it. But that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like I was sitting with you while I was reading that book. And I'm like, that's really cool. But I did the same thing with my book. I spoke my book. Remember, I wrote mine during my first book in my traumatic brain injury. So my head and my hands were writing together. So I spoke it and then let a dictation program dictate it for me. And then the editors fix things. But other than that, it's me talking to you, sharing a story. And if you have a story in you, I encourage you to do it. Get it out of you. If you aren't a writer, speak it. Share a story. Actually, a really good way, if it's a story, like tell it to a kid and record yourself because you'll do the modulation. People who say they're monotone and they can't speak, you put a child in front of them and have them read a book, suddenly everyone does, and then the mouse went.
You're right. You don't ever thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's all perception. I can't talk to an adult, but look at you, little child. The stars are out. We do it. And so
people talk to their dogs that way too.
Yeah, it's this mental thing that we put in. I'm an adult and I have to do this and I can't talk to this. And that's why I talk a lot about mental shifts and getting away from your inner critic and proving to that inner critic that it's wrong. My analogy is, have you ever watched Finding Nemo?
Yeah. I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I have seen it.
Okay. Finding Nemo. Nemo is the little boy, the little baby fish that gets taken away. And his dad tells him, don't go to the boat. Don't go to that boat. And Nemo says, I'm going to go to the butt. He calls it a butt, not a boat. I'm going to go. And he swims and he does it anyways. And of course he gets caught. But the whole thing is, that's you and your inner critic. Your inner critic saying, don't do it. I'm encouraging you to argue with that inner critic that says, don't do it. Because if you listen to your inner critic that says, you should probably not do that. No, don't do that. You fought back. You said, I got to do this. I mean, I saw myself die. I saw who I was and what I really want to be, what I want to leave. I'm going to go. I'm going to do it anyways. Afraid. What I have found in my years of training and coaching and leadership is the thing you're afraid of is the place you're supposed to go. Because you fear it, because you don't want to disappoint yourself or anyone else. You fear it because you want to make it so right you can't do it. Do that. What do you think?
I agree. I think that, when I discovered I had stage fright, I had to stand up in a room with 1,000 people that I didn't know, that didn't report to me. Mm-hmm. And I realized in that moment that all the lies that I told myself with my thousands of slideshow presentations to my team was I was the boss and people couldn't just get up and leave, right? They couldn't surf their phone because the boss was talking. So I stood up in a room with 1,000 people to give an answer, and the guy on the stage is like, "Hold up, let's get this guy a microphone." And I was like, "Oh crap!" I was the first one, to raise my hand, and he's waiting for a microphone. The microphone's on the other side of the room, and bringing it to me, I could just feel my body core temperature starting to rise, and the sweaty palms, and the armpits started to sweat, and the cotton mouth started to appear, and I realized I had stage fright. I was like, "This is the first time I ever had that." I remember sitting down after I gave the answer, sweating profusely, and those stupid cloth napkins that they put on the table, they don't absorb anything. You're just smearing sweat around your face, trying to get it to go away. And everybody's like, "Hey, that was a great answer." And I'm like, I can't hear you. I can see your mouth moving, but I can't even hear right now. And that was the moment where most people, vast majority of people, would have said, "To hell with that. I'm never raising my hands again, and I am never going to put myself in that situation. I'll just not even go to conferences anymore and sit anywhere near a speaker. I don't want to be heckled, and I want to be called on." But me, I was actually smiling. I said, "I think I just discovered a new fear. What am I going to do about that? Am I going to run from that, or am I going to go figure that out?" And that's what I did. I just went back, just like everybody else does. We fire up the old Google, and we go, public speaking fear, how do you solve it? Then you see all the stuff that we just talked about. That's all I did. I'm a problem solver. I'm an engineer. I have a problem, and I come up with some viable solutions, and then I execute. And I just do that. And I always chase the fears, and it's the growth truly happens on the other side of the fear. The growth truly happens on the other side of the things you're procrastinating. The growth truly happens on the things that you avoid because you know the gravity and the significance of those things that you're not doing, or that book that you're not writing, or that podcast that you're not launching, or that weight program that you're avoiding because you're like, "Oh, I missed out my New Year's resolutions. I already messed up a week, so I guess I'll wait till 2022 to start." No, successful people don't do that. They just get back up and they get on the horse or the bike or the car, and they just keep on moving. And we get over the failures really quickly and just focus on what we need to do. And, another thing is, like, I love this show, the mental shift and the motivation and things like that. Here's another tip that successful people don't need. We don't need motivation. On Clubhouse, people are like, "Hey, Tony, what motivates you?" And I say, "You know what motivates me? Results. I just want results. I don't need to feel like it. I just want the results. I don't feel like going to the gym every time I go. About half the time, I don't want to even go."
Yeah, but you like the hardness of that arm. That's what I like.
Yeah, we just want the results, Michelle. We think about that. Okay, I've never left the gym in my entire life regretting having gone. And if I know that, even if I don't feel like it, I will still go, because I know that when I leave, I'll be like, "I'm so glad I came, right? I'm so glad I went." So I just lean on the results. We don't need motivation. You don't need motivational memes and all this. You just need accountability and discipline, and focus on the results. The rewards are going to take time to get. Don't quit too soon. Most people quit too soon. That's another thing we can get into.
I'd say they quit right before they hit gold. And I hope people are listening, because I always get in a debate. People say, "So you're a motivational speaker, right?" No, I'm not. Motivation comes out of you. What do you want? I can inspire you. I can give you some tidbits, but it's up to you to take it and wake up every morning, because I am not going to be there and do. Wake up and go do what you need to do to go seek your dreams.
I don't care. Just show up.
Go do it. And so before we go on break, our second break, I wanted to share a quote from M.H. McKee.
Okay.
Yeah. "A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. They're much like eagles." That's why I like the picture. "They don't flock. You find them one at a time." And when I saw that picture of you, that's what I thought. Because you don't see leaders flocking together. They're out there pulling the wind, making the wind go up for other birds to be flying with them. And so if you are a leader, if you want to be a leader, remember you've got to have the confidence and the courage to stand up and have the compassion to realize that you aren't better than anybody when you get there, that you can make a difference. Make a difference in yourself first. Make yourself the eagle so that you can help other people find their wings. And let's break into that second break, and we'll be right back with Tony, and we'll be finishing up in the next 5 minutes, okay? See you in a bit. Welcome back to Mental Shift. My name is Michelle, and tonight my guest is Tony Whatley, and you can find him at www.365driven.com or on Facebook with the same name, 365 Driven. He's very good with that name. You can find him everywhere on it. And Tony, welcome back. I also want to share that we have a couple of people who said some things. So we have L&B Connectors that says, thanks, Tony, great stuff. And then we have Bill who says, when you have only one product in your store, you're monotone. But when you have multiple products, you have variable tones. Really. And then White called you out. He said you made him go through his biggest fear by doing daily videos for 348 days. And then that your mentorship has been real and you are no fluff. So wanted to let you know they said that.
Thank you. Yeah, he's going strong. He hasn't missed a day, so he's going to get through the whole year. Probably keep going. I know Dwight, he'll keep going.
Might as well. You're already there. Keep going. So Tony, we are at our last couple of minutes, and I can't believe that whole hour has gone so fast because I can talk to you forever. Is there any last thought that you'd like to leave the audience before they go seek you and find you on 365driven.com?
Yeah, I'd love to give the word to the people that maybe are watching this or listening to this that have really not started something. It's that book that has been in your mind, or the podcast, or the speaking, or the videos, or the new career, or the education that you want to pursue. Whatever it is in your life that you want to go pursue, I need you to go do that. And here's the reason why. If you are out there, no matter who you are, no matter how small you may think that you are, realize that your audience and the people that you serve, the customers, the people that you need that are going to take care of all the stuff for you, they're out there waiting for you. Mm-hmm. And it's up to you to find it as your duty to go and prove yourself, to be able to have the messages or the products or the services that are going to go out there and reach them, because you're actually hiding from those people because you're not doing what you should be doing. And it is your duty to go serve those people. And when you start to find the courage to do that, you'll realize that if you're not willing to put yourself out there and actually go do the things that you need to do, somebody else that cares less, that will deliver less, is going to do that and do damage and harm those people. And it is your duty to save those people by being the right person at the right time to go find your audience. So people are out there waiting for you, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter anything, that any of these excuses. Just realize that every time you say that someday you're going to do this, someday I'm going to do that, that's not a day of the calendar. It doesn't exist. And the excuses that you have today for not starting are only going to be replaced by bigger excuses tomorrow. So you got to make sure that you go just do the things and take action.
Bigger excuses and bigger regrets even later.
That's right.
Tony, thank you so much for joining me on Mental Shift today. I'm so excited to have been able to talk to you again. I will stalk you on Clubhouse. I will find you again. We will meet again. And for those of you who are watching in the Philippines, India, Pakistan, in the United States, thank you so much for watching. And remember, we are live every Tuesday and Thursday night in the United States, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, and every Wednesday and Friday at 10:30 a.m. in Asia. So if you can please put that on your calendar and go find the old shows. They're live streamed. This one was magical. Please share it wherever you're watching it. Share it with a friend who truly needs to hear this message, because there are a lot of us out there who were afraid and didn't move, and some of us who were afraid and moved anyways. You want to be part of the latter. Remember that your mission in life is not merely to just survive, it's to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Go out there and be the best version of you unapologetically. Thank you, Maya Angelou, for that poem. Have a great night, everybody. Good night, Tony. And everyone, we'll see you next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Until then, ta-ta.